Hey guys, this is Rajat from e-GMAT. Today I'm super excited because one of our biggest innovations, P.A.C.E, has reached a major milestone. It has reached upwards of 1.5 million minutes of time savings. So let's talk about this. So we're going to talk about P.A.C.E. What is P.A.C.E? P.A.C.E is our innovative adaptive course engine. We call it Personalized Adaptive Course Engine. And we launched this engine sometime in late November, early December, and over the last 6 months or so since it has been there, it has saved a total of 1.77 million. I said upwards of 1.5. The actual number is 1.77 million. We're going to show you this data. Upwards of 3,500 students have benefited from it. So overall, on average, it has saved us about each student who's benefited has saved about 510 minutes per student. So I'm going to really first talk about what is P.A.C.E, what does it do, how does it help you save time and help you score higher, and then I'm going to show some stats around P.A.C.E. So P.A.C.E is, as I said, a personalized adaptive course engine. It's a smart engine that we built into our quant course so that you learn only the things that you need to learn and you skip the things that you don't need to. So in some ways, what P.A.C.E does is it turns our quant course into not just a single course, but 1,000 different courses, each course adapted to or personalized to your own abilities. So if you know something, you don't need to study. If you don't know it, it makes you study that. Now, the foundation for P.A.C.E came from Quant 2.0 launch. Now, prior to Quant 2.0, we were a leader in both in quant and verbal. You can see the number of Q49 plus scores reported by e-GMAT and GMAT Club. If you compare it against one of the other popular test prep companies that's known for quant, you can see the difference over here. But particularly, what you see is the stock difference around that July mark or so, June-July mark, when we launched Quant 2.0, and you can see the number of Q49 plus scores reported for e-GMAT went up. In fact, in 2021, e-GMAT has reported more Q49 plus scores than did students from any other prep company. And this includes both companies where a majority of students need help in quant, which is such as Target Test Prep, or companies which have a very similar composition of students as we do. Someone like GMAT Wiz or Crack Verbal or Expert Globals or so. So with that, let's kind of just talk about how P.A.C.E works. So as I said, P.A.C.E customizes your learning. So let's take this course over here, which is a 30-hour long course in algebra. Now, depending on who you are, you might need this 30-hour course, or you might not need this 30-hour course, or you might not need to go through these 95 learning activities. And P.A.C.E enables you to do this. So for a 20th percentile student, you probably need to go through this course, but if you're a 70th percentile student, you probably need to skip a bunch of the course. You don't need to go through the entire course or so. And P.A.C.E tells you how much time you've saved as you go through the P.A.C.E recommended course. So let's see how this works. Okay. First of all, P.A.C.E consumes the information that you provide, which means the diagnostic data that you provide to P.A.C.E, it consumes that. It then interprets, and it interprets data at a question level, and then it recommends or acts and makes that personalized course for you. Let's see how does that work. So we have this module called absolute values. By the way, if you don't know about e-GMAT courses, every e-GMAT course is split into modules, and P.A.C.E works at a module level. What you see over here is that at the beginning of the module, you have these diagnostic tests. These are specially designed diagnostics, and P.A.C.E is embedded into these diagnostics. It consumes the questions that you answer correctly and looks at what you haven't answered correctly. So it looks right into the core of the question or the tags associated with the question, and then it recommends what portions of the course can you skip, which ones should you go through. So the ones that are grayed out are the portions that you can skip. Over here, you can see that C3, which is absolute value equations 2, is an area where you made mistakes. So the course recommends that you go through this, that you don't skip that. And this is personalized for every student at a module level. Student A, for example, and let's say we have 3 students, each one of them scores 60% on a diagnostic. Student A will go through course A. Let me just minimize my screen here. Student B will go through a course B, and student C would go through course C, all just within the context of this module in absolute values. Now in algebra, you have 8 modules, and think about 8 different levels of personalizations for each one of you overall. So this is what P.A.C.E does. Now let me just show some stats around P.A.C.E. So here you see some stats around P.A.C.E. You can see what we have is every time you actually save some, you do well on a diagnostic, we fire an event which is de-highlighting, and we kind of pass data as to how many minutes you've saved because of this. So I've aggregated all the minutes that you've saved, and that's about 1.77 million minutes, and we have about 3,500 users who benefited from this. I can also look at this and make a line chart around this. You can see on an average, students saved about 9,440 minutes per day on an average, but 90 users benefited on a per day basis. And again, we started P.A.C.E. around the 6th of December or so, and you can see that number's pretty steady. There are days when you have upwards of 13,000 minutes saved, and then there are days where you have only about 6,000 minutes saved or so. Now you can do some really interesting things around this over here. We can find out how many minutes per person did we save. So instead of looking at sum, let's take this over here. Let's look at aggregate properties per user, about 516 minutes per user. Now we can do a distribution of users over here, and you can see about 1,300 users saved fewer than 200 minutes, but there are about 173 users that saved more than 30 hours on P.A.C.E. And similarly, you can see a distribution of it. So again, huge milestone for us. When we launched P.A.C.E. in December, our vision was to get to 1 million minutes. And that went by so fast, we didn't get a chance to announce this. But as we've reached about 1.7 million or close to 2 million minutes, I'm really happy to announce that P.A.C.E. has been helping you guys save time and focus time, and in turn focus time on areas that will help you score higher and get to your target B schools. With that, happy learning.